Okay, I want to go over combining like terms so that when you get to class, you can actually do this. Combining like terms means to put the things that are alike together. So, there are different families. You have X families, M families, Apple family, uh, the candy family, the X-ray family, the pumpkin family. So in number one, we have the X family. And we want to put the negative people and the positive people together. So, and remember, negative people, they take away from the energy of the room. So, in this problem, I have 3 negatives, 4 positives, and 6 negatives. I want to make sure that the negative signs are lined under the plus signs. The negatives and positives will cancel. And I have left negative signs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the answer to this question is negative 5x. Moving on to number 2. Negative 3m minus 3m. Well, I'm talking about the m family. And I have 3 negative m's. Now I know this says minus, and I know you're saying that's a positive 3, but we can rewrite that to plus a negative. So on number 1, the reason I drew 6 negatives is because that's plus a negative. Okay? But in algebra, when we see a minus sign, we don't always change it to plus or negative. We just put minus, and you have to know that that means that it's negative. But if it helps you to put the plus or negative, please do that. So, negative, negative, negative for the first 3, and then 3 more negatives. So now, I've written out everything. What do I have in all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives, and we're talking about the M family. Next one. Negative 6x, so I have the X family, and there is no other up. Yes, it is, right here. So, plus a negative. That means I have 4 negatives and 6 negatives. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this would be 10 negatives for the X family. Then I have 5 K's and then plus a negative, 1 negative K. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1 negative. It cancels, and so we have 4 positive K members. So what do we have in all? Negative 10x plus 4k. Where did the 4k come from with the plus sign? Because it was positive. And when I write it behind something, if it's positive, you have to write a plus sign. This one here, they're in the P family, so that's plus a negative. So I have 3 negatives and 6 negatives. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's negative 9p. And then we do 4m minus 4m. Well, that's plus a negative. So I need to write 4 plus signs, 4 negative signs. What happens? They cancel, so I could write 0m if I wanted to, or I could just not write it at all. So the answer to this question is negative 9p. Let's go to number 5. 5m minus 6m, because they are the like terms. So I need to draw 5 plus signs and 6 negative signs. Cancel, 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 cancel. I have 1 left for the m family, so negative 1m. Now, I can't just leave him by itself. This is what we call a constant. And a constant never changes. It is a number without the letter next to it. So this is a constant. So I'm just going to bring that constant at the end of the problem so that it's still included, because I don't want to leave him out. He's still there, so I can't drop him. And then this is my final answer. Next, 3p minus 6a minus 6a minus 6b. And so like terms plus a negative. So that is going to be 3 positives, 6 negatives. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I have left 1, 2, 3, 3 negatives. And then negative 6, so 6 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 6 more negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 12 negatives. So negative 12a. Now I put these on the side and make sure I write them both. Negative 3p. And since 12 is negative, but I have to write it after something, I'm going to now write minus 12a. Could you write 3p, negative 3p plus a negative 12a? You sure could. Number 7. Negative 8x, negative 6x. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have negative 14 x's. Now let's do the y's. Plus 4, minus 4. So I need 4 plus signs, 4 minus signs, and that is going to be 0. So the answer to this problem is just negative 14x. Let's talk about number 8. I don't know what numbers to add. And I know you're saying the same thing, because you're probably saying, where are the numbers? Well, whenever you have a letter with no number in front, always put a 1. Always. Always, 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 always. My phone's going off, I'm sorry. So what we have to do is realize that this is a negative 1, and then of course we write plus a negative, and that's another negative 1. So I'm going to write 1 negative and then another negative. And how many negatives do I have in all? I have 2 negatives. So what does that mean? Negative 2, with talking about the A family. So negative 2a. Let's do number 9. So of course we've already done the is it linear lesson, and so we know this is not linear, but I know that they are in the same family. So I have negative 4 and then minus 4. So that's going to be plus a negative. And how do you do that? Well, 4 negatives and then 4 more negatives. And how many negatives do you have in all? 8 negatives. And what family are we talking about? The x squared family. Now we talk about the y family, and we have 8 positives, and then we have 10 negatives. So 8 plus signs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 10 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cancel, 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 cancel. We have 2 negatives left. So that's going to be negative 2, talking about the y family. So now we have to write both of these in the final answer. So that's going to be negative 8x squared. And although this is negative 2, when I write the final answer, since it's negative, I'm going to write minus 2y. Or negative 8x squared plus a negative 2y. Either one of those would be correct. Which one do we want to see? That one. We don't really write plus a negative in Algebra 1, but if you have to write it because it's easier, then that's okay too. Let's do number 10, just because we get to practice adding in the 1. So where does the 1 go? In front of this makes it 17? Of course not. It goes where we don't see the number, so it would be here, because that means negative 1x. So the x family has 1 negative and then 7 negatives, because that's plus a negative. So hopefully by now you know that that is negative 8x. And how did I get that? 1 negative and then 7 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 8 negatives in the x family. So now we're going to do the y family. And it's 4 positive, plus 3 positive, that's 7 positives for the y family. Oops, sorry. And now what do? Write them together. So negative 8x and a positive 7x. Well, positive 7x, when the 7y, positive 7y. When you write the positive 7y behind something, since it's positive, you have to put a plus sign. There you go. And the other little tips, this one doesn't have a number in front, so you need to put a 1. This one doesn't have a number in front, so you need to put a 1. This one doesn't have a number in front, so you need to put a 1. You need a 1. You need a 1. Because I want you to know that this is not solving. We're not solving yet. We are simplifying. And what are we simplifying? These are called algebraic expressions. Now, these expressions need to be put together. Take the different pieces from the different parts of the expression and bring it on in, make it smaller. The first thing you have to do is learn to distribute. And distribute means take the number in front of the parentheses and multiply it to everything inside of the parentheses. So, since I have two things inside of this parentheses, I'm going to have two things that are right. 7 times x is 7x. 7 times 2 is 14. Now, does the 7 go to the negative 4? No, because it is not in the parentheses. So now we ask ourselves, do you see any like terms that you need to combine? And I see them here and here. So what is 14 minus 4? It is 10. And if you need to practice, come over here and draw 14 plus signs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then write 4 negatives. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Cancel, 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 cancel. And you should have 10 plus signs left. So 7x, 7x 10? Well, since I have to write the 10 behind something, and I know it was positive, I have to put a plus sign. Let's do the next one. Negative 3 needs to be multiplied to m, which also needs to be multiplied to negative 4. And how do I know that? That becomes plus a negative. And so this is negative 3m. A negative times a negative is a, and this is what we're going to use to remember that. A negative times a negative is a positive. So negative times a negative is a positive. That means plus 12. Now, how did I do that? Since there are two things inside the parentheses, I need to write two things under the parentheses. And so this times this gives me him. How and why? Whenever you see a number with no letter in front, there is a 1 there. So that is negative 3 times 1, which is negative 3, and the m comes along for the drive, or for the ride. Now, does this negative 3 go over to this, negative 2? No, because this is not in parentheses. Now, minus 2m becomes plus a negative. So I need to bring down plus a negative 2m. Now we combine like terms. So I have negative 2m, negative 3m. So 1, 2, 3 negatives, 1, 2 negatives. I have 5 negatives, and we're talking about the m family. Do I come and make this 7 or try to make it 17? Do I make this 17 or try to make it something else? No. This is the final answer. This is the final answer. You stop. And why do you stop? You stop because this is not in the same family as this. This is the m family. There's no m, so I cannot combine it. Number 3. Let's do negative times 3k, negative 2 times 4, so minus, or negative 6k. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Do I write a plus sign here? Do I write a negative sign here? What is going on? Well, this is a negative times a positive. So a negative times a positive is a negative, and that's how this works. So I need to write plus a negative 2 minus 6k. Now, this matches. They're in the same family. So 6 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another 6 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how many negatives do I have in all? 12 negatives. And bring down my minus 2. What? What do you mean minus 2? Well, remember, plus and negative came from being minus first. Yes, it did. And how do I know? Because this was minus 4 at first, and then what did we change it to? Plus and negative. Next question. Do I do 7 plus 3 first? No, we do not. We take the 3, because that is what touches the parentheses, and we multiply it to 2, so that is 6x. We take this and multiply it to 6 minus 18. This 3 only affects these 2 inside the parentheses. Now we bring everything else down. Bring down the plus sign because 6 is positive. Positive 3 times positive 2 gave me a positive 6. We combine like terms. The x family. Plus a negative. 6 is going to be plus, 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 plus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Negative 3 is going to be 1, 2, 3. Cancel, cancel, cancel. And that's going to be positive 3x. Now, let's do the family of constants. They don't have a letter on them. So, plus a negative. So I need 18 negatives and 7 plus signs because 7 is positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 7 plus signs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cancel, 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 cancel. What do I have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 negatives. So, minus 10. Or, could you write plus a negative? Yes, this one or 3x minus 10 is correct. Now, which one do you think algebra teachers want to see? This one. Okay, let's do number 5. Negative 2 times a positive 2. A negative times a positive is a negative. So negative 4p. Then we do negative times, well, that's plus a negative, right? And then negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Minus 6p minus 3. 6 negatives, 4 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 10 negatives, negative 10p. Now we do the constants. And that can be plus a negative. So I need 3 negatives and then 8 positives. So hopefully you started to see that this is really just take away 3 from 8, which would be a positive 5. And this is my final answer. So here's the answer to number 5. Here's the answer to number 4. Here's the answer to number 1, number 3, and number 2. I want to jump down and do number 9 because when people see this one, they have a problem with what to distribute. And there is a missing 1 here. Okay? So what you have to do, whenever there's a minus sign, but you don't see a number there, In front of the parentheses, make sure you put in a 1. So now we're going to do negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. Negative 1 times, make that plus a negative. Negative 1 times negative 4. Here, let's use this. A negative 1 times a negative 4 is a positive 4. So, plus 4. Now we bring everything else down. And what do we do at this point? Combine like terms. So we have 3 x's. Take 2 x's away. That leaves you with 1. So now what is a positive 1 minus 6? So 1 plus sign and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives. Cancel. You have 5 negatives left, and we're talking about the x family. So you did those 3, and bring this down. And that is your final answer. You cannot combine those. And I'd like to do one more like that, because you can do number 15 by yourself and number 13 by yourself with putting in the 1. So on number, what number did I say I was going to do? Okay, number 11. So I have to put in the 1. Where do I put it? Do I put it here? Of course not. There's a number there. I put it here. But why do I put it here? Because there is a parentheses and there's no number there, so I don't know what to distribute. Because remember, distribution is taking the number that touches the parentheses and multiplying it to everything inside those parentheses. So negative 1 times this is negative 2m. Negative 1 times a plus 5 is going to be, well, let's use our triangle, plus, minus, minus. A negative times a positive, negative times a positive is a negative. So that is negative 5 minus 4m. And 6 minus 2 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So some people are going to want to write 0m. And for those that say, I missed that, can you show me that again? Okay. 6 plus signs. Okay, 6 plus signs. 2 negative signs. 4 more negative signs, because that would be plus a negative, right? Cancel, 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 cancel. And what do you have there? All gone. So you can either write this or don't write it at all. But I choose to write it. Now, we know that a number next to a letter is multiplication. So what is 0 times anything? It's 0. So you don't have to write it at all. The answer to that problem is just negative 5.